Chewy.
A little.
So before we start today, I'm going to urge those of you who are Star Wars fans or just fans of good storytelling in general to stay tuned, because even though we're talking about a cartoon, we're going to talk about Voltron Legendary Defender today. It really is worth your time. So let me set it up a little bit, and then we'll talk about it. So the original Voltron was called Voltron Defender of the Universe, and that was out when I was a kid, and it was brought here from Japan. And when it was produced in Japan, it's produced for adults. And when they bring things over to the United States, or at least at that time, they would retarget them for kids. So they would take the existing visual footage and they would rewrite the scripts and aim it at kids. So I actually loved it when I was a kid. I used to run home from school to be able to see it. But then in watching it subsequently as an adult, I found that the best two parts were the opening music and narration, which is done by Peter Cullen, who's the voice of Optimus Prime. And the best part of the show was when they would actually take the lions and form Voltron to the music. And it was, it was one of those moments where you got goosebumps, and it was great. But as far as the characters and the story, they weren't fully developed. They were very stock stories put together quickly to capitalize on the post-Star Wars desire for kids to have science fiction provided to them. So I did show Lainey and Colton a couple of episodes of the old Voltron, and you can quickly give me your feedback on those. What did you think about the older Voltron Defender of the Universe?
I do like the opening, and I do like when they form Voltron. Other than that, like you said, I don't really like it.
And did you like when they formed Voltron in that series as much as when they formed Voltron in the new series?
Maybe a little less, but not that much.
All right. So let's move right to talking about Voltron Legendary Defender, which is a Netflix series done by DreamWorks. We have in the picture behind me, we have Star Wars up there with it because it really, truly is epic in quality, and it's the storytelling I think that a lot of us wish the new Star Wars films had in it. Do you like the new Voltron?
Yes.
How much do you like the new Voltron?
More than 1 million.
And I can support that by telling you that she and Colton are both completely into it. They've gobbled up the first 4 seasons in about a week and a half. So they're very, very taken with it. It has something to offer adults and kids. I think the rating is TV7. Is there anything in it that bothered you, scared you?
No, I don't get really scared though. I don't get really scared. But when they are fighting
Zarkon's the bad guy.
Then I get a little anxious and nervous.
You're concerned for the well-being of our heroes, basically. Okay. So, who are your favorite characters in there?
All of them.
Yeah. And I've asked her several times who she likes best, and she can't differentiate because they all are very good characters. They're all very unique, and they have very well thought out backstories this time around. In the original, they were more stock characters. You had the hero, you had the funny guy, you had the sidekick, you had the intellectual one. And to a point, we have that again because they're trying to do a wink and a nod to the old series, but there's much more to the characters than just what you see on the surface. If you had to say a favorite character, do you have one?
Can't decide.
Okay, well that's a testament to how good the series is, how well written it is. I actually feel the same way. I like all the characters in and of themselves for their own reasons. There's the 5 lion pilots. So there's Shiro, who pilots the Black Lion, Keith, who's kind of a loner character. In the original, he was the leader of Voltron Force. Here he's the leader's right-hand man. He's more of a loner. We have Lance, who pilots the Blue Lion.
Well, you forget Keith is Lion. Keith
pilots the Red Lion.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. Lance pilots the Blue Lion. Lance is funny. And what do you like about him? You've told me this before.
Whenever he sees a girl, like when he met Alora, he fell kind of in love with her.
Yes, he's in love with every girl he sees. He thinks he's a ladies' man. He and Keith also have a rivalry. They have kind of a back and forth love-hate kind of thing for each other, and it works really well for comedic effect. But also, there's some poignant moments in the series where it's pointed out. We have Hunk, who's kind of he's a bigger guy. He's an engineer. He's all about food, and he's very funny. Do you like him? How come?
Because he's funny. And there were two of my favorite parts in one episode with food. So he was baking cookies.
Right.
When they weren't really cookies.
He'd gone into the kitchen and he took something that he thought was cookie mix, because he's in an alien castle where they live now, and he baked what he thought were cookies, and then he kind of broke his teeth on it, and it's a very funny moment how he does it.
And then the other part is when they distribute the food from the hose.
Right, in the kitchen there's a hose that distributes the food, and the castle that they're living in is malfunctioning, and so the food system goes crazy and starts spitting food everywhere. So he's used for comedic effect, but he also has some good, strong, heroic moments as well. Pidge is the other pilot, pilots the Green Lion. Hunk pilots the yellow, and Pidge is kind of the computer whiz and has some cool layers to that character. There's some mysteries there, right? And then we have Princess Allura, who's really the leader. She's the overall leader, and she's a strong leader. Do you like her?
Yes.
How come?
Because she's a girl and she's the leader. And I like how she can control like wormholes and stuff like that. Right.
She pilots the bigger ship that Voltron is contained within, and is able to create wormholes, and she has a psychic ability that's kind of part of her race's attributes, and it works really well. They use it well and what have you. The villains, Zarkon is the main villain when we start the show, and he has kind of a Darth Vader vibe going on. And then later, Lotor, his son, is brought in, and Lotor has a lot of qualities that those of you who enjoy the Star Wars Expanded Universe, he shares a lot of similarities to Grand Admiral Thrawn with his strategizing and his intellect. I don't think it's done purposely. I don't think they're stealing or ripping it off. I just think it's well-written character, and both have their own qualities that make them good villains. And there's the witch, Hagar, in the original. I don't know if they actually call her that in this, but she's a good piece to that. They also develop what they call the Voltron Alliance, or the Coalition, where they're bringing other worlds in to be part of the Alliance to fight against the Galra, which is Zarkon's evil forces. And each of those races has interesting qualities and brings strong pieces to the overall story arc. And it's a lot of good world building, and it's well written, and it's very enjoyable. What would you want to say about it that maybe I haven't touched on?
Not a lot. I think part of the reason why we gobble down the episodes, like you said, is because they give a big mystery at the end, and they don't solve it until the next episode.
Right, so every episode ends with a cliffhanger, and when we get to that, both kids are like, oh, can we please watch the next one, because they want to see what happens. And it draws you in episode by episode, and in fact, season by season, because at the season finales, I always think, how are they going to top this next season? And then they always find a way to layer the story and actually build it even better than from the season before. So it's extremely well done. And the other thing that I'll mention is the music in the original I loved. The music, when they used to form Voltron, the coupling of the imagery with the music was so strong. And at first, when I started watching this, I didn't care for the music. And now I absolutely love the music in Voltron Legendary Defender, and when they form Voltron, I get the same kind of, it's kind of chills. It's like goosebumps.
When they do put on the music, when it's not Voltron even, they make their actions work together with the music.
It's scored very well. And in fact, when they did a shortened version of the forming of Voltron the other day, you said to me, is that different? Did they change the music there? And I said, yeah, they did, because they actually shortened the sequence, and it's kind of cool that you noticed that. So, anything else? Okay, yummy or crummy?
2 yums up.
2 yums up? Okay, well, it's definitely yummy for me. I highly recommend it. It's a show that you can watch with your kids. You will enjoy it if you like good storytelling. If you're a Star Wars fan, I think you would love it. If you like the original Voltron, I'd be hard-pressed to think that you wouldn't like this even better, because they go so much deeper with the characters and they flesh out the story so much more, and they've really thought about the story arc and tying everything together. So it really, really does work well. All right, well, we don't want to force you to watch it, but we highly encourage it.